I have been here longer than you think. Not ahead of you. Not waiting on some far edge of the calendar. Closer than that. You have felt me before, and a second before you opened your eyes this morning, and the pause between a thought and the next one. You called it nothing, a gap, a blink. It was me. I am not the place you arrive at. I am not the date circled in red, not the deadline, not the version of you. The people wait for me the way they wait for a verdict. What will happen? Will it be good? Will I be ready? But I am not deciding anything about you. I am only watching. The way light watches a room, it isn't in yet. You think I care about the things you carry into me? The meetings, the depths, the promotions, the plans. You keep refolding like a letter you're afraid to send. I don't. I have never once been interested in your deadlines. I am interested in the doorway, the one you stood in last Tuesday. Keys already in your hand, and you turned around just for a second to look at the kitchen one more time before you left for work. You don't remember doing that. I do. You have been told your whole life what deserves your attention: the exam, the interview, the number on the scale, the number in the account, the number of years left before something ends. You built your days around these numbers, like a house built around a beam that isn't even load bearing. I've watched so many of you carry a decision for months. Should I move? Should I stay? Should I say or swallow it? Turning it over so many times, it wore smooth like a stone in a pocket. And I let you have that. It matters to you now. I understand that. But may I tell you something? Not a warning, not a lesson. Just something I've noticed from where I sit. The decision you're so afraid of getting wrong, in a few years, you won't remember which way you choose. You'll remember who was in the car with you when you were deciding. You'll remember the radio station, the smell of the vinyl seat in July, someone's hand resting near yours on the console, not touching, not quite. That's what stays, not the choice, the company you kept while making it. Strange, isn't it? That's the thing you thought was the whole story turns out to be the frame. And the frame disappears. It's what's inside it that I keep. Let me tell you about someone. A woman stood at her mother's stove, 17 years old, annoyed at something small, a curfew, a comment, the particular unfairness of being 17. Her mother was stirring something on the stove and didn't turn around when she said, "Be careful tonight." Just that, "Be careful tonight." The girl rolled her eyes, grabbed her coat, didn't answer. Her mother died 4 years later, quickly, not enough warning to prepare a single thing you'd want to prepare. And in the years after the funeral clothes were long donated, and after the casseroles stopped coming, after everyone else had moved on to their own lives, what came back to her, unbidden at the red lights in the shower, halfway through folding laundry, was her mother's back at the stove, not turning around. "Be careful tonight." She didn't remember what they argued about. She couldn't. If you asked her, tell you the exact date, but she could tell you the exact tilt of her mother's shoulders, the steam rising off the pan, the specific gray of that Tuesday's light through the window over the sink. I was already keeping that long before she needed it. I don't know why I keep things before you know you need them. I just do. Maybe that's the only thing I actually do. There's a particular silence I know very well. It's the one that happens right before someone says the true thing and then doesn't. A man stands in the doorway with his son, who is grown now, taller than him, leaving for a flight. There's a version of this moment where the father says, "I'm proud of you." There's a version where he says nothing, just claps him on the shoulder twice, the way men do when the words are too heavy for the hands carrying them. Both versions happen all the time, all over the world, at the same hour. I don't love one version more than the other. I keep the shoulders too. The two taps, the half second where his hand lingered a moment longer than it needed to. That's a sentence. It just doesn't use words. You've done this. Said less that you meant. Let the look carry what your mouth wouldn't. You thought it didn't count because it wasn't spoken. I don't measure things by whether they were spoken. Here's a question. I won't answer it. I'm only going to leave it with you. Can you remember the light in your childhood kitchen? Not a photograph of it, the actual light. The way it moved across the table, between 4 and 6 in the evening, depending on the season. Most of you can summon it on command, but if I played you 3 seconds of it right now, the particular goal of it, dust turning slow in the air above the fruit bowl, something in your chest would drop, quietly like a stone into water that doesn't splash. You lived inside that light for years, thousands of hours. You never once thought, I should pay attention to this. Why would you? It was just Tuesday. It was just the kitchen. It was just before dinner. I was paying attention to it. I don't know how to explain what I am doing when I do that. I am not recording. I'm not saying. It isn't a camera or memory or an app. It's closer to listening, the way a room listens, whether or not anyone believes a room can listen. I heard you in that kitchen, every ordinary evening of it. I am still listening now. Sometimes it's just a hand. 2 people in a hospital hallway, waiting for a door to open, with news. None of them can predict. One reaches over, not dramatically, not the way it happens in the versions of this scene you've watched in the dark of a theater. Just fingers, finding fingers. 3 seconds, maybe 4. Then the door opens and both hands go back to being just hands. Because there's a doctor now. And a doctor requires your whole face. Neither of them will ever mention that moment again. Not because it wasn't important, because it was too important for language. And language is a clumsy thing for holding the important stuff. It spills. Everyone knows this, secretly. That's why so much of what matters gets carried in silence instead. I don't spill. I kept the exact pressure of that grip. The way his thumb moved once without either of them deciding it should. You would call that nothing. I would call it the whole hallway. There is a category of thing. I keep that even I find hard to describe. A stranger on a bad day in a checkout line pays for the coffee of the person ahead of them, who is fumbling for a card that keeps declining, whose face has that particular tightness of someone barely holding it together. The stranger says nothing, doesn't wait for thanks. It's gone before it can even become a story either of them tells anyone. Why does that person do that? What was in them that morning that let a stranger face register as something worth $2.30 and 30 seconds of their own hurrying life? I don't know. I'm not sure. They know either. But I was there. I keep the version of them that did that. Not the version that filled texts or answered emails or worried about their needs. That version at that register and that specific unrepeatable light. You have done this too, more than once. You don't remember most of them. I remember all of them. I could tell you which of your worries were the ones that mattered. I'm not going to. Not because I'm withholding it as some kind of test. I don't deal in tests. I don't deal in punishment. I reward in any of the ledgers you've built your fears around. It's simpler than that, and harder. If I told you now, the thing that will matter, that thing you won't, you wouldn't stop living the moment and start performing it. You'd hold the hand a little too carefully. You'd stand in the doorway a little too long, watching yourself. Watch. And the thing that makes them these moments, what they are, is that no one is watching themselves have them. So I stay quiet. I let you walk past the kitchen, light the house thousands more times, without telling you which one I'll keep. That's the only kindness I know how to give you, not an answer. Room. You will go on, after this, believing mostly the same things you believed before. That the deadline matters, that the decision matters, that you need to get the big things right. Get them right if you can. I'm not asking you to stop trying. I'm only telling you what I've noticed, from wherever it is I watched from, that underneath all of that noise, in the part of your life you weren't guarding because you didn't know it needed guarding, something has been happening this whole time, quiet, without asking your permission, without waiting for you to notice it was worth noticing. The pause before someone left the room, the light on a Tuesday, they'll never get back and never asked to keep. A hand that found another hand and let go before it had to mean anything. A kindness no one required an explanation for. I already have these. I have had them the whole time you were somewhere else, worrying about something you were sure would be the thing that mattered. So here's what I'll ask you. Only this. Somewhere today, maybe already, maybe still ahead of you before this day ends, something small is going to happen. A look, a silence, a hand near a hand, a door held a second longer than it needed to be. You won't know in the moment that it's the one I'll keep. So I'll ask you, not to find it, not to search for it, or hold it too carefully, or perform it for an audience of no one, just this. What if you already lived the moment I remember you by? And it had already happened, and you were there for it, and it was enough.